All right, let's start talking about your downswing. How do you start it, and how do you keep it from getting to a point where your backswing is too long so it's difficult to start it? Let's get into it. All right, guys, we're here out at Stony Creek. We're gonna talk about how do you transition into that downswing. It's really important because a lot of people work on their backswing, and I'm not saying the backswing's not important. It's really helpful if you can get things working properly, but it is important to learn how to transition to the downswing properly because that's the part that hits the ball, let's face it. So if you don't have that part working, it's really gonna be all for naught if your backswing's really good, but you can't get to the downswing. So how does this work when we're gonna transition? Well, when I go ahead and set up, I'm gonna be turning back. And what happens is I'm turning back by pressuring into my trail foot. Okay, so for me as a righty, that's my right foot. I'm pushing into my trail foot. That turns my body back. Now, the downswing starts with, and we learn this through pressure, mapping pressure plates, pressure, I have some insoles that go in shoes, I've had mats and all that stuff too, is what we learn is when we start going back, we're gonna start pushing into the ground with our lead foot. So we've talked in previous videos about how that pressure in your lead foot, that's how you can start rotating and stuff like that. You need to start getting that into your lead foot, that pressure, a lot sooner than you think. What happens to most people is they think, all right, I'm gonna start my downswing by moving my lower body, I'm gonna pressure, but they take it all the way up to the top of the swing. The problem with that is you are way too long and it's not a dynamic motion. When you get up here and I'm really long with the swing, if I start to pressure, the club is way behind my body and I'm gonna try to come down and I gotta get that club back out in front of me. It's just a lot of extra work as we go. So what I like to see people do is we actually work a ton on a drill where we're gonna go back. I call it the Jon Rahm drill. We're gonna go back, feel like the club gets to here, about a quarter of a swing, and then we're gonna pressure, okay? So it's gonna look something like this. Okay, so I'm pressuring into my trail foot and then I go, okay? I've got a 7-iron and I always have the data out when we look at this. So I always say, all right, how far do you hit your 7-iron? And they're like, all right, I hit mine 170, okay? Then I have them do this drill and then we'll say, all right, how far do you think that ball went? And they're like, holy cow, that went. And right there, that shot went 165 in the air. Hey, that's pretty good for a quarter of a golf swing. That's what most people will find. And then we look at it on video and we'll say, oh, well, how far back do you think you went? Oh, I went back like a quarter. Okay, let's look at it. And they're like, man, that went way farther back than I thought. So what people don't realize is when you go back and you start to transition, that doesn't mean that I'm just firing the club and everything too. What ends up happening is my body starts to stretch. We get what's called a stretch shorten cycle of your muscles. It's gonna stretch and then it shortens back up. And that's how you get some whip and get some power into this golf swing. That's why Jon Rahm can still hit the ball really far, even from a very abbreviated backswing position. It's because he transitions well, gets his muscles to stretch, and then he goes. So that's a good drill that I like for people to work on is back, through, and go. Now, do I swing like that when I play? No, I'm a little longer. There is some timing elements that you would take to the course and all that stuff, making you feel comfortable. But I think most people start realizing that, hey, I actually am swinging way too long and I'm not swinging in a way that is efficient enough to be able to hit the ball the way I want to all the time. So that is a great way to work on this drill is by working on, hey, we got to get our shift earlier. And we also need to get it where we put a little oomph into it. That's what I always say is oomph as you go through that you're gonna hit this ball. So try that Jon Rahm drill out. I think it's really gonna help you and it's gonna help you understand where your power comes from. And also you might find you have a lot of wasted motion going on. So if you have any questions about it, please leave a comment down below. And as always, click that subscribe button. We do have our impact crash course down in the description. Make sure you check that out as well, 100% free, working on how to get your impact dialed in. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.